Well, good morning again, everybody. Welcome to another Cars and Coffee with me, Kenny Brown, where over the next hour or so, we're going to be talking a little tech, answer your questions, and there's something important today we're going to talk about. But just to kind of, for those who haven't been with us for a while, or with us at all, this is the reason I started Cars and Coffee, was there's so much misinformation out there on the internet or in the. I tell people the two worst places to get information on your car is the internet and the guy down the street or in the paddock. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to share what I know from my 50 years experience in professional motorsports and building great cars, so that you can get good quality information. If I know something, I'll tell you. If I don't, I got an engineering head that have no idea how to BS people. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, today we've got a couple of interesting things. Somebody asked about winterizing their car, so we're going to talk about a few tips on if you're going to put your car up for the winter, a few things you should think about doing. And then there's the big thing we want to talk about is the RPM Act and why you should be concerned. This is a very important subject. And then also we had some questions come in on our sway bars this week, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the sway bars we have for the S197, for the SN95, and of course sway bar end links, because that's part of sway bars. And then we've got some good questions from the society this week too. So let's switch my page over. What should we talk about first? I think let's do some questions. And then I think we'll do some questions. Then that is going to lead into the RPM Act. And then I'll talk a little bit about next Speed Therapy Academy, which is coming up, and it's starting to fill up a little bit. So here's a really good question, and it kind of depends. Garrett wants to know, what's the best Mustang chassis for a beginner to build off of? I'd say it depends on what you're going to do with it and which cars you like. If I was going to just start with something and build a nice street car that I could take to the track, I think I'd be looking at a 5 to 10 Mustang. The S197 series has the best base suspension to work with. Plus, those cars are pretty reasonable these days. I know a lot of people are picking them up, and if you can get them pretty reasonable, then you got more money to spend on making it better. But we've got an amazing suspension system for S197, from 5 to 14. But the 510s are pretty reasonable. Now, they've got the 3-valve motor in them. They only have I think 300 horsepower or something. And somebody's going to say, well, if I get one, I'm going to drop a Coyote in. Well, yeah, you could do that. But me, I'm like Mr. Simple. I think about how I can keep things simple. So, we've got the suspension, we've got the brakes, we've got everything to make that car really cool. And if somebody wanted more power, something that we did on Cliff's FR500S, which is a 2008, and we completely went through and did the latest 4.5 suspension with single adjustable JRZs, and the car is just amazing to drive. But on the power side, what we did is in 2000, the last year for the Mustang Challenge was 2010. I engineered 3 Mustang Challenge cars in 2009 and 2010, but the series stopped after that. So there was a place for them to race. The SCCA allowed them into the Pirelli World Challenge with some upgrades. One of those upgrades actually was my suspension, and the other was kind of like a top-end package from Ford Racing, which was heads, cam, intake manifold. And that worked pretty good. That would be a 2011 spec FR500S. So that's what we did with Cliff's car. We took it up to 2011 World Challenge specs, and we ended up getting like 380 rear wheel horsepower. You do the math, and that works out to be 440 at the crank. And we had 340 on torque, which works out to be somewhere right around 400 pounds of torque. So, without having to do massive changes, electrical systems, processor, all that, boom, we went, up to the same horsepower basically as a 11 to 14 Boss Mustang. And it makes a grand car. A really great car. So if I was going to do one, I'd do that. Some other cars I think about doing is getting a Fox. And I love Fox Mustangs. That's probably where I started with the Mustangs, with the Fox. But what I would do with a Fox is, we've got a lot of guys right now, or if you can find them, they're putting the IRS, the 99 to 04 Cobra IRS into a Fox, which I think would make just an awesome package. Because we've actually updated the bracketry. When we do the geometry upgrade on the carrier, we've updated the bracketry in the back. But we take that great big clunky mount off and throw it away. It saves weight and space, and we put a plate on there so it's hard mounted right to the frame rail. We've actually added some extra holes so that it will be a direct bolt onto most Foxes. I say most Foxes because there was a lot of variances. The earlier you get, the more variances they are, but it should be able just a straight bolt on. I think a Fox with an IRS in the back, our AGS 3.0 in the front, cane member and control arms, front geometry. And then, like I say, like a 347 Windsor, I think that'd be just an awesome car to drive. So those are my thoughts. SN95s are also good, but the problem with the regular Fox and SN95, the rear suspension is not very good. The roll center is like way high, and the geometry is just not there. That's why I would go to an IRS. But also, the other thing is, if you can find a 99 to 04 Cobra, that'd be a really nice car to work with too. Although they're getting a little harder to find, and the prices are starting to ratchet up on them. Actually, the prices are starting to ratchet up on Fox. It's really hard to find a good Fox. It seems to be really popular. So that there's a couple of choices. As far as starting out, I think my first choice would be a 5 to 10 S197. My other choice would be a Fox with putting an IRS in the back, so the thing would just really handle. So there's some thoughts. Or a 99 to 04 Cobra, but like I say, they're getting a little harder to find and a little more expensive. So that's Garrett. I hope that answers your questions. If you've got more questions, you can set up a 15-minute consult with me. I do that all the time. If you need more information than I just shared, set up a 15-minute consult. We can talk about it. Okay, Herstifer had a question. Actually, he had a question that in our monthly alumni meeting for the Speed Therapy Academy, which was this past Wednesday. Herstifer had a question. Herstifer is our alumni graduate of the Speed Therapy Academy from Bulgaria. He got up at 2 o'clock in the morning every night to attend the academy. But his question is, after 3 seasons on track, he's got a S550. He never changed the coolant. His engine temperatures rose so quickly after 1 lap that the car started to pull out timing in the ECU over 220. Have any advice on what he can do to solve the problem? Will new coolant water be a solution, or thermostat, oil cooler, radiator, airflow? Okay, I always would go to the simplest thing first. The simplest thing would be a better radiator. And those who have been with us for a while know that we've got our triple pass radiator, triple thick, triple pass, pulls a lot of temperature out. I mean, it pulls like, let's see, we had one customer with a GT350 Road America, took almost 30 degrees of water temperature out. So that would be the first place I'd go. If you've got vents, vents on the hood, open the vents up and let some air out. We've talked about that before. That not only helps get the air out, but it helps front grip. And then if the coolant's been in there for 3 years, it might be time to not only change your coolant, but I'd go ahead and see if you can get a lower thermostat. I'm not sure what thermostat comes in them. I'm guessing probably around 190, but I'd see if you can get like a 180 or 170 thermostat, so the thermostat opens up a lot quicker. But after that, and then I'd go to the oil cooler last, because that's a lot of work. I'd start with the easy things and then move on from there. And then this is another question that Bill sent in. He said, BP has a new product named Stay Frosty. Do I have any experience with this type of coolant? And the answer is no. However, I hadn't heard about it, so I looked it up, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it is a summertime coolant for racing. There's no antifreeze in it, so there's no thermal protection for freezing. But it's a coolant specially formulated. I'm guessing it's kind of like we always put for track cars during the summer, pure water with at least 3 bottles of water wetter. So I'm guessing it's pretty much the same sort of thing that comes pre-mixed. I looked it up. It's about $29 a gallon, but it's supposed to, again, take 20, 30 degrees of water temperature out. So, I mean, that might be a really another good option for, especially for track day cars. It's something now that I know about, I think we're going to look into, maybe start using next season. But it's from BP Racing, and it's called Stay Frosty. And BP Racing has been around for a while. It's a really good company. They got great products. So there, I kind of answered two questions in one. And then let's see. This is Jake's question. Kind of leads into what we're going to talk a little bit about today. When storing my race car for the winter, what should I consider in terms of fuel in the tank? I primarily use 93 octane pump gas. So I put a fuel additive in, like Boostane or Torco, or 101 octane race fuel. So I drain it, add another additive to protect it from ethanol. Here's my recommendation, and then that's going to lead right into some other things that we can talk about if you're going to put your car up for the winter. Make sure the tank is completely full with fuel stabilizer. You can get that in most parts stores. You want to put the fuel stabilizer in first, fill the tank up, and you can stick with the 93 octane because the stabilizer will keep it fresh. And then also be sure to run the car for a little bit so that the fuel stabilizer mixture in the gas gets into the whole system, whether it's a carburetor or fuel injection. But you always want to keep it full. And the reason for that, if it's not full during the winter time, with cooler temperatures, actually a little frost can actually build up on the top of the gas tank, and that frost turns into water, and water gets in your gas. So you always want to keep it full with fuel stabilizer. Now, some other things, if you're going to put your car up for the winter, that you want to think about is certainly you want to have it stored in some place that's dry. If it's temperature controlled, that's better. If it's not, that's okay too. Just make sure you've got, if you've been a track car, make sure you put coolant in for the winter so it doesn't freeze up. So that's one thing. Keep the gas tank full. You always want, before you put the car up, give it a good wash and wax so that it's sort of like in the spring, it's not going to be such a mess. You never want to put a car away dirty. And then also change the oil and filter before you put it up. And the reason for this is kind of like the same thing within the gas tank, is that moisture through the winter, without being run, moisture can build up. And moisture in oil, if it's in there for a while, can turn into some acid that will actually erode like rod bearings and main bearings. So that's why you want to always have fresh oil in for the winter time. My cars, I'll put fresh oil in for the winter, and then in the spring, I'll put fresh oil in again. I like really fresh brake fluid, and I like fresh oil. Again, if it's been a track car, I'd go ahead and bleed the brakes, flush out the brakes so you get good brake fluid in there. Of course, check the antifreeze, and then make sure your tires are aired up. Then the other thing is that putting it up on jack stands. To me, that is the best way to store it over the winter, because the car is not sitting on the tires. Cars that sits on the tires all winter long have a tendency to not be round in the spring. So that's why I like putting them on jack stands. Speaking of putting them on jack stands, if you don't have jacking rails, this is your opportunity. I started putting jacking rails on Mustangs in '86, one of the Celine endurance cars, because we need to, like 24-hour race, you got to like jack them up, change tires, change brakes, and we put jacking rails down the side so we get one whole side of the car up at a time without having to really fuss and muss. But what we did is on the jacks, once we figured out where the jacking rail was on the jack, we put a piece of tape on top of the jack so we can push it into where the tape lined up with the edge and jack it up when you have to look. Just push it in and jack it up. Anyway, this is a jacking rail for, this actually covers a lot of cars. This is for the, and it's a long one. This is for the Fox S197 and Gen 1 Mustangs. So S197 Fox and Gen 1 all take the same jacking rail. And our jacking rails are silver zinc plated to resist rust. And also, jacking rails need to be welded in, just simply because Ford doesn't bolt the cars together. They weld the cars together. And what we do is, scrape. We just need to do some few stitch welds along the pinch weld. And then after that, you want to go over them with some undercoat or something to protect it. So, what burns off doesn't rust. Another reason we use the plating versus powder coat. Two reasons we use the plating versus powder coat. First of all, when you weld it doesn't make noxious fumes like powder coat does. And also, powder coat, you start jacking it up a lot, and at some point, it's going to chip the powder coat off. When that's gone, it starts rusting. So that's why we use the silver zinc plating. And SN95 has a little bit different jacking rail because the pinch welds are different. And we have these little holes in here because the little buttons that hold the rocker on. So this is for the, there we go. This is for the SN95. And we also have jacking rails for the 550s. Now the 550s are the only jacking rail we have that bolt in. And the reason for that is there's a really handy place, front and rear, that's secure the frame to bolt them in. You're trying to do something along the pinch weld is not as easy as the previous cars. So that's why we came up with the bolt in just for the 550 cars. And it's like super easy. But anyway, you got jacking rails on there. It's an easy place to jack up your car. Plus you put your jack stands underneath it, and there it sits all winter long. So there's a couple of tips. Now the other, let's see, going down my list.
Can I interrupt you for a minute, Kenny?
Sure.
Of course, I always do. So when you were holding up the jacking rails, because of your camera angle, it looks like it was it's a completely straight stick of steel. Can you hold it up like vertically so you can see that it's straight? Because it looked really curved.
Which one?
Either one. Both of them looked curved. See, straight. So it's just a camera angle that was curving them. Okay, cool. That's all I wanted.
Okay, now some other things. Your battery. Hello? Oh. You want to take a look at your battery. If you see kind of like just a teeny bit of a film on your battery, that's acid, and that will drain your battery. So what you need to do, you need to take a look at your cable, the cables, both the battery and the battery top itself. If you see a little bit of, just a little teeny bit of film on there, or if you've got a little bit of corrosion on your battery cables, just mix up some baking soda and water and pour it on top. And if you've got corrosion on your like the positive or negative side, absolutely undo them. You can pour the baking soda and water on. It'll just fizz and bubble and neutralize all that acid, so you can just wash it off with plain water. And then if you do have any crud on there, just kind of use a wire brush or something to get that off of there. And you want to leave your battery unhooked through the winter. Now the best thing you can do is get something that's called a battery tender. You can look them up online, and it's a teeny battery charger that hooks up to the battery that actually puts a really small charge in, but it's got electronics in it. So when the battery gets below like 12.4 volts or something like that, it'll charge it back up. So keep the battery fresh all winter. If you can take it out and stick it in a warm place, that's even better. But you can leave it in the car. Be sure the negative cable is unhooked, so that you don't drop something and hit the negative cable and spark. So you want to have the battery unhooked. Make sure the top is clean with baking soda and water, and make sure the terminals are clean. And then in the spring, what you might want to do, there's these little tools that I should have got mine out. Little tool that you can clean the battery terminal tops with, and also the connectors. And when you start over spring, if it's an older style you can still pop the lid and see water, make sure that the water is above the plates. And if you need to fill it, don't overfill it. You want just enough water to cover those plates, and you need to use distilled water. So that's the battery. Let's see what else I've got on my little list here. Of course, you want to keep all the windows closed. And something that some people do, they get like the baking soda freshener packs or baking soda, and they'll stick them in the car in the trunk, just so that it kind of keeps from getting stale. Now, here's a question that always comes up is like, should I start it through the winter? Okay, my philosophy, if it's me, I would say no. because the problem is if you start it, you have to let it run long enough to get up to full operating temperature and run at operating temperature for a while. If you don't, if you just start it up and let it run for 5 or 10 minutes, what's going to happen? You're going to get moisture, like in the exhaust system, and you're not really going to get everything up to temperature. So, I mean, if you're going to do that, be sure you run it for, I'm going to say a half hour to fast idle. Otherwise, you know, you really don't need to do that. You got fresh oil in there. You got the gas tank full with fuel stabilizer. I think it's good to go to the spring. So at least that's my personal opinion. So you got a whole bunch of questions answered at once. Now we're going to get into the big topic. The big topic is the RPM Act. And this is super, super important. What the RPM Act stands for is Recognizing the Protection of Motorsports Act. What is going on? The EPA is going crazy. The EPA wants to make it illegal to turn a street vehicle into any kind of race car or track car. They want to get rid of all aftermarket systems like superchargers, tuners, exhaust systems. Let's see. I'm just reading down my little thing here. I think Carrie can put the first page up from the, there we go. And what you need to do, you need to get hold of your congressman, your senator, and you need to, you know, there's some form letters out there. I'm sure we can post some of this stuff up so you can do some form letters. But along those lines, I want to put a special shout out to Greg Drake. Greg actually he's done 3 really cool things. First of all, he's joined the Speed Therapy Academy, so he's going to be a Speed Therapy Academy member. And secondly, he bought the new 4.5 suspension system. It seems like we've got a lot of people joining the Academy and buying the 4.5 suspension because Academy members get 10% discount on Kenny Brown products as well as Bear Brake products. And also the Academy members and alumni, if they buy their brake pads from us, we get them pre-bedded for free for them. So, but Greg did 2 cool things there, 4.5 suspension and the Academy, but he also sent a letter off to his senator, Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz sent a really nice letter back. So I don't know if we can get those posted on our Facebook or not. But here's the thing, when links are up there, get on the list, you know, get a hold of your senators. And plus, we'd like to get at least 5 of your friends involved. I mean, the only way to stop the EPA that's out of control is through legislation. And this bill has been worked on for a long time. SEMA started it, and it's getting a lot. I mean, the more letters we get in, the more representatives and senators, the higher chance it has of passing. So we can put the EPA back in the box and just keep their nose out of our sport. So it's really, really important. Like I said, get 5 of your friends to also send letters in to their senators and congressmen about the RPM Act, and we'll have some links that makes it easy for you.
Also, they recommend, SEMA recommends that if you've already sent a letter, that you send another one, because it's just imperative right now with everything that's going on that they get as many interested parties saying they're pro RPM Act.
Yeah, so that's yeah, I mean, that's super important. We don't want. I mean, the government's getting too snoopy anyway in all of our lives. And the last thing we need is the EPA sticking a nose into motorsports and outlawing everything that we do. So it's really important to get involved. And then, like I said, a special shout out to Greg Drake. He sent a letter in to Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz sent a letter back. So that tells you that people in Washington are thinking about it. Okay. Speaking of Greg, next Speed Therapy Academy is coming up and starts November 2nd. Always need a little help. Starts November 2nd. And if you like what I talk about on Cars and Coffee on Saturday mornings, and if you like some of the been to some of the workshops I do, and you find them interesting and informative, and you get good quality information. But if you're to the point where you really like to know more, the Academy is the perfect thing to do. It's a 16-week course, two evenings a week. The Tuesday nights are what we call immersion. I'll take a subject, let's say shock absorbers, for example, and we'll spend the entire evening talking about shock absorbers, the different types, how they're built, the valving, and every subject. I talk about the 5 secrets to my cars: chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes. Every one of those we'll take a really deep dive into and talk about in depth, so you get a full understanding of how the car works. And then the suspension part is like 2 weeks. And I also get into suspension geometry, which is some secret stuff. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm the only guy in the aftermarket that has been focusing on Mustang suspensions for a very long time. I started messing with suspension geometry in 1987. I wanted to do it in 86 with the slim cars, but the opportunity didn't present itself in 87. Steve got us some Virgin K members for the front with no holes in it. So I sort of put my own holes in, and based off of the work I did with Mr. Jones at Ford in the suspension department, we changed the front geometry so the 87 Mustangs turned. That was one of our big problems in 86 is they wouldn't stop, they wouldn't turn, but they went like hell in a straight line. So we actually, that's when that started. That was my AGS 1.0. That's Advanced Geometry Suspension Systems. And from there, we're up to, for the S197 is AGS 4.0. That's the 4th generation. Every generation builds off the previous generation and improves it. And AGS 4.0 for the S197 it's a fabulous little suspension. It's simple, it's light. It's compared to what else is out there, and it really works because there's only 3 parts of the suspension system: rear grip kit, front grip kit, springs and shocks. And the reason we do that is the rear grip kit, every single piece is engineered to work with every other single piece. That's why we're not selling you parts, we're selling you a system that's pre-engineered, tested, developed, so all you have to do is bolt it on and go. Even the control arms come all pre-adjusted, so all you gotta do is just plug them in. And the front grip kit, the K member and control arms, because they're engineered together to get the right kind of front geometry, the right roll center, the right camber gains, caster gain, anti-dive. You got anti-dive in the front, anti-squat in the back, so the cars, when they brake, they come down flat. So that's kind of like the 4.0, and the newest is 4.5, and that's not really widely publicated because the 4.5 swaps out the roll center relocation kit for my new K-Link, which is patent. We've applied for a patent. It spent years and years in development, 2.5 years of hard driving, testing, on-track racing. And it took Brian, the guy that was doing that development for us, it took him from mid-pack and put him on the podium. And then we're also finding that people are picking up, even their first time out, they're picking up anywhere from 4 to 8 seconds improvement on their best lap times. Yeah, you heard me right. So 4.5, but it's a higher level suspension, and it requires more stuff because of what it does. It just increases rear grip dramatically. So like I say, I started AGS 1.0 in 87, and we just introduced 4.5. And for the 5 to 14 Mustangs, 5 to 10 Mustangs, boom, there's your suspension. But it does things nobody else does. So, okay, let's see, what am I talking about now? Oh, the Academy. That's what I got sidetracked. So we talk about a lot of suspension in the Academy, 2 weeks. Then we talk about suspension geometry, which is really informative. You'd be surprised what little things, how they affect the suspension geometry. Let's see, we do the whole week on brakes, talking about all kinds, the brakes themselves, rotors, calipers, brake pads. We spend a lot of time on brake pads because you have to match up the brake pad compound to the maximum temperature you're running on your rotors. Aero, we spend 2 weeks on aero. That's a big one. A lot of people really like the aero because there's so much to talk about. We talk about the basics and then get in some element finite, the computer stuff. let's see what else. And then we have the master classes, which really, really have turned out to be popular. That's where I get one of my friends from the industry to come in and talk for maybe 20, 25 minutes on their area of expertise. And then we open up the questions. Our guys can ask questions. We can do that because the Academy is on Zoom. If you're not familiar with Zoom, it's pretty much like an open meeting. Everybody can talk back and forth, which makes it really cool because people can ask me questions while we're going through all this stuff. But yeah, we've got the master class. We have one on safety. We've got cooling. We've got driving, trailers, radiators. We've got so many, I forget. But anyway, the Academy's coming up, and if you really, really want to learn stuff, you should sign up, because my goal is by the end, everybody that graduates from the Academy has a really good understanding of how the entire car works. Plus, if it's a track car or even a street car, they understand how to set it up, how to adjust it, how to tune it at the track. Like we spend 2 weeks just going over different scenarios. If the car does this, what are some of the things you might want to adjust? I mean, that's like 2 weeks. And then at the very end, we do virtual driver coaching where people send in their videos, and I'll do driver coaching, which also is really popular. So if you really want to learn stuff and what comes in the Academy, well, just like Cars and Coffee, you're not going to find this type of information anywhere else. Real information, not what the guy down the street said or what he heard from his buddy or read on the internet. God, you got to stay away from what you read on the internet. You be very cautious what you read on the internet. So the Academy's coming up November 2nd. In fact, I got my Speed Therapy Academy shirt on. When you sign up, you get a nifty Speed Therapy Academy polo. You also get a notebook, Speed Therapy Academy notebook with sections in there so that you can, if you've been with me for a while, I'm just crazy about notebooks. You should have, for your car, you should have a build notebook for your car so you can keep track of everything. And if it's a track day car, you should have a notebook for the track. So every event has its own section, so you can go back and reference that, keep your tire temperatures in there and your adjustments. And then also at the end, you get certificate of accomplishment. So it's a pretty cool program. And if you're unsure, get a hold of Carrie, talk to Carrie. We could even set you up with some of our graduates, Speed Therapy Academy graduates, and they can tell you, what a huge, great value it is. Like I say, the information that I teach, you're not going to find anywhere else. And this is information based off of my experience. Not something I read, not something I heard from somebody else, but things I actually have physical experience with. Okay, let's see. We've got through our questions. Oh, I forgot to say, if you've got questions, you can send them in. Now would be a good time because we're going to start answering questions here live in just a few minutes. So I'm going to need to go down my list. Let's see, we've done the RPM Act. We've talked about winterizing.
Can I tell you what you haven't done yet?
What?
If you're just joining us.
If you're just joining us, I'm Kenny Brown. This is Cars and Coffee, where for an hour or so I share my vast experience in professional motorsports and building great cars, and answer your questions and try to give you high quality technical information that you're not going to find anyplace else. In fact, I got my old toolbox over there. That toolbox, and I have been to every major racetrack in the United States and up into Canada more than once. In fact, we won the 24 Hours of Canada twice with Mustangs.
And so your next subject that you were looking for is sway bar tech. Sway
bar, I got this stuff laying right out here and I forgot.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's good thing you are there. I just get carried away talking about the Academy. I think it's such a cool deal for people. I get totally carried away. Okay, we had some questions on our sway bars for SN95. Now, back in 2000, when we developed AGS 3.0, Advanced Geometry Suspension System, 3rd generation, for the front, I used to take the K-members and move stuff around like I did for the Celine cars. So what we did for our SEMA car, which was Kermie, we did a clean sheet of paper, K-member, and we did a K-member with a geometry built in. And part of that package was we developed a sway bar. And this is the sway bar we developed for SN95. And it's pretty much it's a complete drop-in, and is adjustable. So there's 3 holes on there. And then also on sway bars, they come with urethane bushings. And a big tip on urethane bushings is you have to use the special goopy grease for urethane bushings. The goopy grease, kind of is impervious to everything. In fact, if you use it, I'd recommend wearing gloves, because if you get it on your hands, it's not coming off. You can scrub, you can use brake clean, you can use everything, is not coming off. But that's what you want. You want to put just enough. You want to smear some on the sway bar. You don't want to just load it in there, because if you load it in there, it's going to squeeze out, and there's going to be a lot of grease around the ends. And anytime there's grease or oil, it's going to attract dust. And you start attracting a lot of dust, and instead of being a lubricant, it turns into sandpaper. So when we developed this, we actually, it was kind of a cool time, because we were a member of a club back then, and the Putnam racetrack is maybe 45 minutes away. And I can't remember, it was either Tuesday or Thursday evening every week, it was like from 5 until dusk, open testing. So we did, when we came out with the 3.0 suspension, we did tons and tons of testing. And we actually originally had 3 different sway bars, which I labeled soft, medium, and firm. And after tons of testing, we eliminated the soft, we eliminated the firm, and just stuck with the medium. That seemed to work the best. And when I tell people on sway bars, also we've got our adjustable end links for SN95s. And we've got this, we've got a rod end. If you saw those 3 holes on there, so we can just, I always tell people, always start the middle hole. Get your car dialed up, and we'll talk about this in the academy. You do your tire temperatures first, you make your camber adjustments, and then you start, and then if you need to, then go to like shocks or sway bars. But if you start it in the middle hole, and you figure out how the car feels, then you can go soft and see how the car feels like that. And what you do is, as soon as you get back, you take your impressions and write them in your notebook. And maybe next time you put it on full firm, drive it, and then you come back, you write your impressions, and then you decide which adjustment you want, what feels the best to you. That's why I always say start in the middle. That way you can go firmer or stiffer and see how it feels like, and then make a decision on where you want to keep it adjusted. We also have adjustable sway bars for the S197s and 550 cars. We don't make them. It's a purchase product, but again, it's 3-way adjustable. And then for those cars, we've got our sway bar end links, adjustable. That's for the 550, and that's S197. And the reason you want an adjustable sway bar end link is that you want 0 preload on the front sway bar. That means if the car's on the ground, laden or on blocks, not with the wheels hanging, but like if it's on the ground, you want there to be 0 preload in the sway bar. That means you can hook the bottom one up and the top one will just drop right in and out with 0 resistance, and that's how you want it. You get too much preload, and on really hard braking, if you don't have ABS on hard braking, one wheel's going to lock up under hard braking, which you don't want. So that's and the other thing we do for our 197 and 550s is we have OE style ends. We've had some people use, like, we have to use a rod end for the SN95 because that's pretty much all that's available. But for the 197s and 550s, we have heard people tell us that they've used like the rod, other people's like spherical rod bearings, and that they bind at some point. Well, this is an OE type. It's not going to rattle. It's not going to clang. Plus, there's a little zert in there, so you can put a little grease in there. So it's going to last a long, long time, and it won't wear out like a spherical bearing. So there's my little talk on sway bars. Okay. Now what have I forgotten?
Well, I think you're pretty good. I think it's time for questions now. I kind of chuckle because Brian West, who is one of our Speed Therapy Academy members, back when you were trying to figure out what you're talking about, said sway bars. He knows exactly what you're supposed to be talking about. So
Yeah, Brian has got to be one of our star students from the academy. He's always there. He always pays attention. He's got a Roush with our 4.5 suspension. And we found out something weird on this. We got strange building SS197 shocks, so we can get a coilover on the back, because when we go to K-Link, we got to really increase the rear spring rate, because it just generates so much grip. To balance the car, we got to way up on the spring rate. So we've got this strange, did kind of something funky on us that we weren't aware of. We're working that out, and Brian's helping us with that. So thanks for saying the way bars. Even though I was laying right here, I would have forgot. Okay, do you have any more questions?
No, we do have questions coming in. So right now, if you want to ask any questions, this is a good time to add it to the chat. And I'm going to start with Dylan. Dylan asked, actually, Dylan just signed up for the Speed Therapy Academy, Kenny. So yay. So he said, I tried to submit the letter for the RPM Act, but it claims my address isn't valid. Should I just call my legislatures? Yeah,
I mean, you could do that. I'm sure we're going to have some links up there that will help you, so you can try again. But yeah, anything you can to get your voice heard, it's really important.
So thanks, Dylan, for doing that. That's important. Dylan has a couple more questions here. Just a quick question. Do you go over the roll cage design in the class?
Actually, I guess yes. In fact, I think that's the first thing is when we talk about chassis. I talk about chassis and how you need a stiff chassis. Race cars have super rigid chassis. We actually go through and talk about, there's some designs in there on like for a sedan. We also get into monocoque, which was just, came into existence when I started racing way back. When I started racing, all there was tube frames, and then we went to monocoque and even get into some carbon fiber. So we go through that pretty comprehensive on the chassis part. So the answer is yes.
Okay, Dylan's next question is, I won't lie, but I got that binder, and that's the Speed Therapy Academy binder. I was very impressed with the quality and the checklists that were included in it. Thank you. That's awfully nice. And Kenny puts a lot of work into what he includes in there. So
yeah, every academy I try to add more stuff. I do in between. I'll run across things. Oh, I need to put that in the academy, so I'll throw that in a file, and then it ends up being in the next academy.
Roy's commenting back to winterizing your car. He says, I have this unit and believe in running it through the battery once a year, as it has its own conditioning feature, 20 amps ProLogic battery charger. That's what it's called. Good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that sounds like a good piece. Not familiar with it, but I mean, just from the title, it sounds like it's a good thing. Yeah, so 20 amps isn't so much it's going to cook the battery.
So it's a ProLogic battery charger for all those out there that are interested. Rory has a question. Here we go. Hello, Rory. Good to hear from you. Hope you saw our piece last weekend on the Explorers we did for you. Rory says, I have this unit. It's a 20 amp ProLogic battery charger and believe it's running it through the battery once a year, as it has its own conditioning feature. Okay, same thing as, that's. So
there's two endorsements for the ProLogic.
Actually, I didn't look, but Rory's was repeated, so that's both from Rory. So
no wonder it sounded the same.
Exactly. This comment here: diesel fuel will take it off. Not sure what that's. Oh, that's in reference to the
grease on your hands. Also, WD-40 will too. That's about the only thing that gets it off.
Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. No adjustable front sway bar for the Fox Mustang, or can you use the SN95 unit?
The answer is yes. It's not a straight bolt-on because there's different like sway bar perches between the Fox and the SN9 and SN95, but it can be used. You have to do a little bit of adaptation, just like our K member for the SN95 will go on a Fox with some special You just need to, there's some body things you just need to kind of carve out a little bit. But yeah, we never did a fox only because at the time the SN95s were, you know, what everybody wanted. But we do have, like, for the 94, 95, SN95, they had a Windsor motor in there. So those are the ones we use in the fox. It does widen the wheelbase slightly in the front, but nothing you can't get a wheel to fit, which, you know, widening the wheelbase is widening the track in the front, I mean, is a good thing. I mean, having more track in the front makes cars handle better. Like on Old Blue, my 93 World Challenge car, when we set that up to put better brakes on it, everybody knows the brakes that come on a Fox are pretty cruddy. We actually used different hubs, which added like an inch and a half track in the front, and to make the car really handle. When we did the rear axle, so we could put big brakes on the back, we put the 9-inch ends and 9-inch axles in there. So we had no C-clips. So we did that. We actually narrowed the rear track an inch. So it made the front wider and the rear narrower, so the car really handles well. So, okay.
Yeah, so we're coming up upon last call for questions. So if you have any questions, we have a couple left. I'm going to ask Kenny, but right now is the time to add the questions. Also, just to let you know, we are televising live on 3 different channels. We're on the Kenny Brown Performance YouTube channel. We are also on the Kenny Brown Performance Facebook page and on the exclusive Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society Facebook group. If you're not in the group, I'd recommend joining. Just search it on Facebook and you can join that group. We have a lot of interesting information Kenny shares in there, so you may want to join it.
I guess the technical word would be we are simulcasting.
So, what did I say? Telecasting?
No, you just said broadcasting.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, simulcasting, which was when we did that. That was a huge leap forward in technology for us. If you've been with us for a long time, you know that we just really, at times, have struggled with technology.
So you're not supposed to share that anymore. It looks like everything goes smoothly now, Kenny.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, here we go. Practice.
And here we go. You stated the name of the grease for the bushing on the sway bar. Can you please tell me the name again? Is that the PFE greases?
I don't know. I just call it the sticky, goopy stuff.
Well, actually, we get it from.
We've got these little things. If you need some, we can get some to you.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure what the name is. I never even thought to think about the name. I just know it's the goopy, sticky stuff.
So just give us a call. We can probably put it in a padded envelope and just get it off to you. So give us a call and we will get it to you. Our phone number is on our website, kennybrown.com. And then here is another question. Caster alignment gauges for use at track and home garage. Which one do you suggest?
Okay. As far as caster, I'm guessing you mean it says caster camber. As far as caster, if you follow my philosophy, you put the maximum caster in, however much that takes. For like S197 or 550, we'll put maximum caster in. For the Fox and SN95, we have our caster plus camber plates. And basically what I've done is I've eliminated the caster adjustment and made the caster fixed, the maximum caster. Back a long time ago, we were doing adjustable plates. I kept thinking, why do we have this extra caster adjustment? But all we ever do is set it on full caster. So on our Fox and SN95, we've got caster plus, which is your camber plates. All you have to do is set camber. You can let's see. Let's not say I had. Yeah, I'll show you something here. I mean, if you go online, there's all kinds of camber gauges. You can even actually make your own camber gauge. This is what I did. Pretty simple. I got like a regular, like a carpenter's level. And this is one of the that's a digital. And I just put it up against the wheel and I can see, looks like I got a low battery. I just made this up. I got some long 1/4-inch bolts, drilled some holes, and I made a camber gauge. You can if you go online, there's a lot of different ones. There's some really expensive ones, and there's not so expensive ones. But you really don't worry about caster. Maximize your caster, and then work on your camber. And we talk about there should be in the Speed Therapy Society and Academy in the resource section. There should be a sheet in there that gives my alignment, my starting alignment specifications. You know, for the street, we're looking at around a degree negative. For the track, 2.5 degrees. If you're running more than 3 degrees at the track, you got a problem. First of all, under braking, you got no tire. Half your tire is not there. But secondly, that means you've either got bad geometry or not enough spring rate because the cars are rolling too much. The Mustangs have what's called a positive roll front suspension, which means the more the car rolls in a corner, the more positive the tire goes, and that chews up the outside of the tire. And if you've got to put 3 degrees in, then you need to be going back and checking something. You should be living in the 2 to 2.5 degree range for camber. So yeah, I think camber gauges are pretty easy. You can make them, or just look online.
Okay, so
maximum caster all the time.
So Brad also put a link up there from Pegasus Auto for another one that you can use if you don't want to make your own. And the grease is from Energy Suspension. So you can order.
This is from Prothane, other
yeah,
supplier.
Okay, same thing, yeah. You can order an 8-ounce tub from Energy Suspension if you want. And Brad calls it's kind of hilarious. Silly. The lube is a silicone grease which has a very high rate of elasticity, aka stiction. So anyway, I think that is our last question. And since you are low on battery, Ken, I think that we
that was low on battery on my camera gauge.
Oh,
not my computer.
Okay, so last call.
I'm going to go back to adding a lot of caster. The reason we do that, the reason I do that, is it has a pretty significant impact on front suspension geometry, and we'll talk about that more in the academy. But it helps the camber curve. It helps turn in. It actually helps improve anti-dive in the front, which you wouldn't expect. But I show that in some graphs just how adding more caster actually improves your anti-dive in the front, which all boils down to good turn in. So I just thought I'd throw that in there, a little teaser for the academy.
Okay, and we also Brad added the your alignment chart too. So if you're interested in knowing his alignments, just look in the chat. You'll also find it if you're one of the Speed Therapy Society Facebook group members. You will find it in the Speed Therapy Society Facebook group, or obviously if you're a Speed Therapy Academy member, it's full access to you. So that's where you can get them. And
like I say, there's a street setup on there, and you typically start with 2.5 degrees negative for camber on the front at the track. But from there, you have to use your tire temperatures to adjust your camber so you're running the right amount of camber. And again, that's something else we get into the academy. We've also covered that a couple of times in Cars and Coffee. But you really need to use your tire temperature probe to give you the information you need to make an informed decision on what to add more or take camber out.
So I think, Kenny, that is it for questions. If you, again, this is very last call for questions. If you have anything, add it here. Otherwise, Ken, I think that we are good to go. We do have a special announcement that we're going to be making in 2 weeks, so make sure you join us then. Yeah. It'll be pretty interesting. You'll be excited about it. So again,
we're excited about it. Yeah, it's a special announcement. And is it 2 weeks, Carrie?
Yep, 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks we will make it. Let me check one more time, see if there's anything here. We did add a link for the 15-minute consult. We didn't add that earlier. So if you're interested in talking to Kenny about anything specific or any tech questions, or you want him to help you create a build plan for your car, just click on that. He offers free 15-minute consults, which is unheard of in this industry. Kenny, I don't know what we're talking about next week, unfortunately. So it's going to be a surprise.
If you want, send in what you'd like me to talk about. Because like I say, I talk about what you guys want to talk about. Everything I talked about today either came from an email or a phone call in. And so, that's what you want to know about. I'll talk about to the best of my knowledge and experience. Like I say, what's really cool about our program, first of all, I think we have the best products, dollar for dollar, the best products out there. Secondly, we have the best tech support. When you call in to figure something out, if you're running our stuff, you're not going to get a parts guide that's going to like read from the catalog for you. You're going to get real information based off of our experience. And also, I mean, you've got, through the 15-minute consults, you've got access to me. And then or you go to the academy and you see me 2 nights a week, you can talk to me. So, yeah, I guess, I mean, we have a program that's so different from anybody else. And it's all based off of real information. The information is based off of my lifetime of experience. So there we go. So send in subject matter for me to talk about next week, and do that through the either Facebook or the Speed Therapy Society.
Correct.
And then, because we don't know what we're going to talk about next week. There's a lot of weeks like this we don't know, and then by Tuesday or Wednesday we got to figure it out. So be sure to send your subject request in before Tuesday would be preferable, so we can get that into the schedule.
Okay, just a couple of the notes. Wendy's in the audience. Hello, Wendy. Good to see you here. And Dave Robinson, who is here every week, he's from Niagara, Canada. He's saying Happy Canada Day, Canada Thanksgiving. So,
Happy Canada Day Thanksgiving to you too.
That's great. Okay, I think that's it. If you want to watch any of the Kenny Brown Cars and Coffee on replay, we have all of them listed. This is episode 72 right now, and you can watch any of them on the Kenny Brown Performance YouTube channel. Along with there's different segments on there broken down into brakes, suspension, wheels, tires, engine, performance. There's a whole bunch of different sections. So if you just want to watch a 5 to 10 minute segment on something he's tech information sharing, it's right on there for you. So take advantage of the Kenny Brown Performance YouTube channel.
But getting back to Canada Day, I have very, very fond relationship with Canada, because that Mosport, if those aren't aware, Mosport is a really, really cool track in Canada. And I've won the 24 hours of Canada there twice. The first time was with our backup car, because our primary car was leading the race and crashed out at 4 a.m. And we had to take the second car that was running, was wounded and it was running, I can't remember, 3rd or 4th. And we actually, through really good strategy calls, brought that forward and won the race. And then the second time we won the 24 Hours of Canada, we ran 3 cars and we finished 1st, 3rd, and 4th. There was a pesky Porsche that kind of got stuck in there. If it had been a 25-hour race, the Porsche wouldn't have made it. I mean, it was barely limping along at the end. And that's how we beat Porsches with Mustangs, is the Mustangs are like rock solid. I mean, we could actually just run the F-11 piss out of them for 24 hours, and they wouldn't let us down. And that's that was kind of like if you're running hard from the green flag all the way to the end, you mean then anybody else has got to run with you if they want to stay up. So, also that was my late son Paul. That was his last professional race before he passed from cancer. And he actually, it was in, I think, August maybe. He was diagnosed with cancer earlier that year in 2012, and he hadn't been in a race car since the previous October, I think. And Justin Bell was the driver we were using, and he couldn't make it because of his commitments to TV. And so Paul decided he was going to try. He had a backup driver just in case. He barely made it through the 2 practices in qualifying. You got to remember, he has stage 4 cancer and not really. He couldn't take any pain meds. And he during the race he started. I can't remember 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere back there, because he just was out of. Hadn't been in a car for a long time, and he actually drove through the field to put himself on the podium for his last professional race. And I should probably show the picture sometime of that, which is a pretty touching moment for me. So that's why Canada, I have such good memories with Canada. So
okay, we have one last minute question coming in. Jason Pittman just had to join us late, so Jason, thank you for joining us. And here is his question, Kenny. Let's put it up here so you can look at it too. I have an older rear suspension on my Fox body with a panhard bar that doesn't mount to the trunk. I currently have spherical bushings in the diff. Is this a bad idea?
Spherical bushings in the diff. I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that. If you've got one of our older suspensions, the what's called Track Kit Plus, with the axle brackets and the panhard bar that lowers the roll center, hold on to that and keep it in good shape, because we haven't brought that product back since we started making stuff again. And it was kind of revolutionary back then. We were the first people to put a panhard bar on a Fox Mustang, and the purpose of it was not to center the axle, because again, this comes up in the academy. The Fox and SN95 have what I call a double splay rear suspension. They got front control arms point one way, lower control arms point another way, so the axle is self-centering. It doesn't need anything to center it. So we don't use the panhard bar to center the axle. What we use it for is to defeat the factory roll center and introduce new lower roll center. And where the panhard bar crosses the center line of the car is your roll center. And we put the panhard bar all the way down to the bottom of the differential, which up until my 4.5 suspension was the lowest you could run a roll center on a live axle car. And back in a long time ago, in the Trans Am days, we would take and mount a Watts link to the bottom of the differential, and it was easy to hook that up because it's an underslung chassis. So we put a Watts link on the bottom. The Watts link is the best way to locate an axle. However, wherever that center pin is your roll center. And if you mount it on the back, you really can't get the roll center very low. So we put it on the bottom of the differential, and that put the roll center at the bottom of the diff. Well, it's a little impractical for the guy to do it at home. So that's why we in our Track Kit Plus, we added a roll bar and put all the way to the bottom of the differential. So it moves the roll center down from, I think it's like 18 inches high, all the way down, so the cars really handle a lot flatter. The trick is, though, because we're not using it to center the axle, it has to have zero preload on it laden, which means on the ground. You have to be able to slide one bolt in and out. If it's got any kind of preload, it's going to fight. It's going to fight with the control arms. So it does really good things. But we had back then, one of the reasons we haven't brought that back, so many people wouldn't read instructions, and they wouldn't have the panhard bar adjusted correctly, which would put preload. And if you're preloading, you're putting strain on everything. So anyway, kind of got off on a subject there. But
Okay.
we also carry that lower panhard bar over the S197s.
Okay, I think it might be a little bit of a different question. Jason, if Kenny's not specifically answering your question, just schedule a 15-minute consult with him. There's a link in the comments here, and you can also find it on the kennybrown.com website. Here's some guesses to what he's referring to. Brad says that I think he thinks he's referring to the rear upper control arms where they mount to the axle. He needs to change the back to rubber. Does that make sense to you, Ken?
Now, having spherical bearings is the best.
Okay.
Because rear axles need to move. They need to be able to move freely. And that's why we use, like in the 197s, it's super high quality Teflon lined spherical bearings. A lot of people go right to putting like urethane bushings. Urethane bushings in the front suspension is fine because the control arms are moving up and down. Perfect spot for them. But in the back, they're only good if you're drag racing and going in a straight line, because then they're just moving straight up and down. But if you try to put it on like a track day car, what's going to happen is they don't twist. I mean, you can just bolt one end up and try to twist, and it won't twist. So what happens is the car's going to roll, and then the axle is going to roll with it to a certain point, and then it's going to bind. It's not going to roll. As soon as it binds up, you have no rear suspension. Back the car gets loose. So I mean, rod end spherical bearings are good. I mean, that's the best thing you can put on a rear suspension.
Okay, so here's Jason explaining a little bit more, and I think you may have just answered that question. But he says he's getting some bind, and then he added the upper bushings that are in the rear diff that mount the upper control arms to the diff are spherical instead of rubber.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting bind with a spherical bearing, you need to take a look and see where it's starting to bind. But yeah, I mean, like I say, spherical bearings are the way to go. And that allows the axle to move. I mean, the axle has to move freely. Otherwise, like I say, if you got like urethane bushings, it binds and the back of the car goes away. Which kind of reminds me, we ran the sling race cars for 2 years. In '87, we won all 4 national championships with those cars. And at that point, my commitment to Steve was that I told him if we had the right people and money, I'd try to win him a championship in 3 years. Actually, we won 4 championships in 2 years. So at that point, we kind of split up, and the people he had that took over the cars kept saying I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. Just won 4 national championships. They took the cars to Detroit and they put urethane bushings in the back. And I guess the first time they went out testing, the cars were totally undrivable. So it just goes to show you, don't comment on somebody's abilities until you can do better than yourself. I mean, why would somebody completely take apart cars that just won 4 national championships and start over? That somehow I have a real problem with that.
Okay. I think Jason needs to call in because Brad also has some other comments that I'm not going to add about we did something similar to this to Ruby, and we changed, we had to change it back to rubber. So anyway, why don't we, Jason, why don't you give a call in, and then next week we'll kind of explain what we came up with.
Yeah, just sign for a 15-minute, and that way, and we can talk back and forth, and I'll see if I can help you.
So anyway, Jason, I'm not sure if Kenny's quite understanding it correctly, so please have a 15-minute, and then we will go over this next week so everybody finds out. We want to make sure you get
what the answer is.
Yeah, everybody gets the correct information. So anyway, this was almost a stump the Kenny Brown. Yeah. So anyway, I think talking one-on-one will help a lot. Okay, cool. And I think this is the end of our show, Kenny.
Okay, well, I thought we were going to get off early, and here, like usual, we're running overtime. That's fine. I'll keep going until there aren't any more questions. I don't have a problem with that. As you figured out, I don't mind talking. In fact, sometimes I talk way too much. So anyway, well, that's it for this week.
You think? Okay, cool.
Send your suggestions in for subject matter for next week, and also so you can send your questions in through the Society or Facebook. Because as you see, I pulled 3 questions out that came in. They either come in through the telephone or through email or through the Facebook. And so, yeah, send them in. Do my best to answer them. So with that, I guess we're going to wrap up today. It looks like it's going to be a pretty decent weekend here in Indianapolis. So we're going to I was going to enjoy the afternoon, but our youngest granddaughter has her 6th birthday party today. So our afternoon is spoken for.
Well, you'll still enjoy it, though.
I'll still enjoy it, yeah. Okay. So anyway, take care. Have a good rest of your weekend, and I guess we will see you all next week. So have a good weekend.